Hey guys, today we are talking about operant conditioning, which is not classical. A lot of people, though, do confuse the two, and on the AP test, I know that they're going to be testing you against each other. So, yesterday we talked about classical conditioning, and in today's office hours, we went over the worksheet that I assigned for classical conditioning, and you had to determine UCS, UCR, CS, and CR. Class or operant conditioning is different. Operant conditioning, let me move myself up here a little bit. Operant conditioning is all about consequences of your actions. Are you reinforced or are you punished for your and like what are the consequences? And it's all about not it's all about voluntary actions. So classical conditioning was all involuntary. Like the dog involuntarily salivated to the sound of the bell. He couldn't help it. While operant conditioning is things that are voluntary actions. So any behavior that is reinforced will continue to happen, and any behavior that is punished will happen less often, will happen less frequently. And so the big name here, there's two big names. There's two big names for classical conditioning, and there's two big names for operant conditioning. One of the big names is Edward Thorndike. And Edward Thorndike, he came up with the law of effect. And let me go back to this law of effect. And you kind of saw a picture of him just a second, and then it like flashed to, maybe I can show you it again. That guy, law of effect. That's Edward Thorndike. And he came up with something so crazy, you'll never believe it. He said, the consequences of our actions affect our actions in the future. Who would have thought? Big idea here. And he termed it the law of effect, like the effect of our actions affect us. Surprise. But the other, probably even bigger name for operant conditioning is B.F. Skinner. And he's actually a really controversial figure, not because of anything that he did was like unethical. All of his experiments were, could easily be done again. In fact, we do them a lot. But he basically said, I can operantly condition anyone to basically do anything. We are basically lab rats. And he has a famous quote that basically says, give me any two kids, and based on the way that I reinforce and punish their behavior throughout their life, I can turn one of them into the next president and the other one into a criminal. Just we're lab rats. We don't have free will. And that's why he's so controversial, is that he basically says that we're no different than any trained rat in a maze. And he talked about that because a lot of his experiments were rats in mazes. So here's a picture of one of his little experiments, and he called it Skinner's box. And in Skinner's box, he basically had a rat in a cage, and if it pushed a lever, then it would get a treat. And if it pressed a button, then it would get shocked. So he had both reinforcement, the food, and punishment, like the shock. And so if you push the lever, you get a reinforcement of food. If you press the button, you got a punishment of a shock. Surprise, surprise, the rats pushed the lever and got food and were less likely to push the button and get shocked. And so he was shaping their behavior. And so there's two terms that you need to know for B.F. Skinner. One of them is shaping. And if I clicked on the link, I can't because it's going to be copyrighted issues there for YouTube. But he puts this pigeon in this box, and the pigeon's and it's like an untrained pigeon. He puts a pigeon in the box, and there's like a button. And the pigeon's kind of like moving around completely at random, but the pigeon just by accident turns to the left, and the little light comes on, and it opens up like a little tray of food, and the pigeon can eat from the food. And so the pigeon's like, and turns to the left again. But this time, the pigeon has to turn further to the left for the box to open. And then the third time, even further, almost like in a complete circle. And then eventually, it takes an entire complete is it rotation or revolution? Rotation. It takes a complete rotation of the bird to turn, 360 degrees to get any treats. So B.F. Skinner is shaping his behavior. At first, it just took a little left turn, for him to get the food, and eventually you had to reinforce each behavior. What one? Tree folk. Oh yeah, that's in Lord of the Rings. Oh. Okay, he's learning about fantasy creatures on some app. And then chaining. This is how like SeaWorld and dog tricks and things like that. This is how they work. They do little behaviors, and after each behavior, they get a reward. Like you have to jump and spin and twirl around and then like walk on 2 feet or something. But then if you chain them, the animal has to do all of those behaviors in a row correctly to get the reward. And so this is how typically how animal routines and animal tricks work, is that they each individually learned each behavior separately and got a reward, but then they were chained together and they had to do the whole thing to get the reward at the end. Biological predisposition just means that you cannot train a animal to do certain things that they biologically wouldn't do. Like you can train a bird to peck in order to get peck a circle or something in order to get a food treat, because they would normally peck to get food anyway. But you couldn't make like a dog do a cartwheel to get food because biologically they can't do a cartwheel. You can't train an elephant to jump because elephants can't jump. The weight of their body would kill them. So if they jumped, it would just be the one time. Okay, so reinforcement, I've been using this term, but here's the definition. It's any event that increases the frequency of the preceding response. So any event that if you do it, the thing that you rewarded is going to happen more often. Okay, so there's 2 types of reinforcement: positive reinforcement and negative reinforcement. And I want to be clear. Reinforcement is good. Reinforcement increases the behavior that's going to happen again. Positive and negative reinforcement doesn't matter. They're both good. They're both going to increase the behavior. Positive does not mean good. Negative does not mean bad. That just means adding or taking away. So let's say that I wanted you guys to do your homework to do your homework. And I want you to do your homework more often. So that means I'm going to reinforce it if I want it to happen more often. So I can add something positive, or I can take away something negative. So positive reinforcement would be like adding stickers. Adding stickers. You guys do your homework, you get stickers. So the fact that I'm adding something means that's positive. I'm adding stickers. Stickers is something pleasant, something that you like. Or what's something that I could take away that you would like that? If I take away, let's say, your lowest daily grade. A low daily grade is something unpleasant. So if I take it away and I remove it, then that is good. So I can add stickers, that's positive reinforcement, or I could drop a low grade, or I can, hey, I'm going to take away your homework because you guys all did so well on your past homework. And so those are both good things. So negative reinforcement is not bad. A lot of people think negative. No, negative just means to take away something unpleasant. Like I will take away the beatings if you do your homework. That's negative reinforcement. The beatings are unpleasant. I will remove the beatings if you guys do your homework. That both of these things will increase the likelihood that you guys are going to do your homework. Okay, so let's talk about some examples of negative and positive reinforcement. So, what about putting your seatbelt on? What happens if you don't put your seatbelt on? Okay, not right away. You're not going to die right away. But that noise that your car's going to make, the beep, 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 beep noise, or the alarm, that alarm is telling you to put your seatbelt on. And the seatbelt alarm will go away once you put your seatbelt on. So it's removing this annoying, unpleasant sound when you guys put your seatbelt on. So that alarm, that's negative reinforcement. I will remove this alarm sound once you put your seatbelt on. A hug after your choir performance. It's the addition of something pleasant, and so that's positive reinforcement. It's like a sticker. Having a headache and taking an aspirin. I will remove the unpleasant headache the more aspirin you take. Of course, only take the recommended dosage, but that is negative reinforcement. I will take away the unpleasant headache when you have an aspirin. Getting to watch TV after doing the dishes. The addition of TV, because you do the dishes more often, is positive reinforcement. Pressing the snooze button. This is kind of like putting the seatbelt on. Your snooze button is going to go on and on and on until you get up. You're trying to get up more often. And so I will remove away that sound of the snooze, that sound of the alarm when you get up. And so it's negative reinforcement because it's the removal of that alarm sound in order for you to get up more. And last one, taking out the trash to stop the whining. So let's say that your parents are complaining for you to take out the trash or for you to clean your room. And if that works, you have just told them, hey, whining and complaining gets me to do the work. So they're going to whine and complain more often. And so that's an example of negative reinforcement. They will take away the whining. They will take away the complaining when you take out the trash. The complaining will stop when you take out the trash. And so they are going to remove their unpleasant whining to do the trash more often. So that's negative reinforcement. So just think, are they adding something you like, or are they taking away something that you don't like? Either way, if they're trying to get you to do things more often, it's reinforcement. So I can add something for you to do it, or I can take away something for you to do it. Both these things are reinforcement, and reinforcement works, negative and positive. Okay, so how can I reinforce you? So what I would do is I would make this little chart in your notes. Okay, so can I write? I wonder. Pointer? No. Notes? This is not what I wanted. Get out of here. What did I do? There we go. I'm back. Okay, so when can I reinforce you? I can reinforce you all the time, or every so often, or after so many times of you doing something. So there are schedules of reinforcement. Ooh, look at me. I have like a little pointer thing. So fixed means like a set amount. Obviously, fixed is a set amount, while variable is a random amount. So fixed is a set amount, variable is a random amount. And ratio and interval are also different. Okay, so ratio, you actually have to do a behavior. You have to do the thing they're reinforcing. So after, it could be a fixed amount of behaviors or a variable amount of behaviors. So a ratio is the number of behaviors. And it can be fixed or variable, random or set. Interval means like time on a clock or time on a calendar. It's like the amount of time. And once again, it could be a fixed or a variable time, random amount of time. Okay, so let's talk about the different combos. What about a fixed ratio? Ratio is number of behaviors. So a set amount of behaviors. Can you think of something where you get reinforced for every 10 times you do something? Think about it as like a punch card, like a loyalty card, like a smoothie shop or something, or like a coffee place. So every 10th time you buy a coffee, you get one free. So, but you have to buy the coffees. You have to do the behavior, and it's every fix. It's every 10. Every 10 times you get a coffee free. You have to buy the coffees. You got to buy 10. But once you do, for sure, you get a reward. You get a reinforcement of a free coffee. That's a fixed ratio because it's a set amount every 10 behaviors. And the behaviors is buying coffee. There's also a variable ratio. Every random amount of behaviors, then you get a reward. Can you think of something where you get a reward every random amount of times you do something? uh, gambling, slot machines, lottery. These things, that's why they're so addictive, is that you have no idea. It's totally random, but you have to do it. You have to participate in the behavior. You have to buy a lottery ticket. You have to play a slot machine. And you have no idea when you're going to win, when you're going to get reinforced because it's random. So it could be any time now. And so it's after an unpredictable number, after a random amount of number of behaviors, you do something like a slot machine or gambling, lottery, you win, you get a reinforcement, you get a reward. Okay, well, what about interval? Interval is all about time on a clock. So every fixed amount of time. Can you think of a set amount of time that you get a behavior, that you get a reward? Maybe every 2 weeks you get a reward, or every 5 days you get a reward. Like your paycheck. Your paycheck is a fixed amount of time. Every 2 weeks, you get a paycheck. The paycheck amount could change, but the paycheck itself is the reinforcement. It's the reward. It could be $100 or it could be $1 million, but it's every 2 weeks you get a reward. And so the behavior is like every Tuesday, maybe there's a sale. Don't they have that Sonic? It's like every day, every weekday from 2 to 4, it's like half price off, or it's like happy hour or something on slushies or something. That is a fixed amount of time. Every day at this time, you get a reward, no matter what. Your birthday, Christmas, holidays are a fixed interval. Every year, one time a year, no matter what, you get a birthday. Every December 25th, every single time, no matter what you've done or not, if you've been naughty or good, you get a Christmas. And so it is a set amount of time on a clock, you get a reward. While variable interval is going to be every random amount of time on a clock, you're going to get a reward. So sometime you get a whole bunch of rewards. Sometime you get no rewards. It's totally random. It's unpredictably often. It is, okay, it says checking your email, but I think of like notifications on your phone, which are reinforcements. You look at your phone to see if there's notifications. You look at your phone more often when there are notifications. So that's why we know it's reinforcements, because the more notifications you get, the more you look at your phone. That's why it's a reinforcement. You look at your phone lots of times. But sometimes you look at your phone and there's no notifications. Sometimes you look on your phone and there's 15 notifications. And so it's not like every 5 minutes you get an update on your phone. It's not every random amount of time you look at it, you get, it's just random, whether you're looking at it or not. So it doesn't take any behavior of looking at your phone. It just is, it's unpredictable. And it's unpredictable of what time the notifications are going to be coming in. So those are the schedules of reinforcement. So I'm going to be posting a little worksheet. I think it's like 10 questions. And I believe the bottom part of the worksheet, it gives some examples, and you have to determine what schedule of reinforcement it is. Is it a fixed ratio? Is it fixed interval? Is it variable ratio? Or is it variable interval? And these are schedules of reinforcement. We've been talking a lot about reinforcement, but I've neglected to talk about punishment, because you can reinforce behavior if you want it to happen more often, or you can punish a behavior if you don't want it to happen. So any event that decreases the behavior is punishment. And just like with reinforcement, there is positive and negative reinforcement. There's also positive and negative punishment. And once again, this isn't positive is good and negative is, it's not. Positive means adding, and negative means taking away. So, like, remember, punishment, you don't want punishment. Whether it's positive punishment, negative punishment, they're both punishment. They both are things you don't want. It decreases the behavior. So let's say that you guys are, I don't know, talking out of turn in class or something, and being really loud, obnoxious, and I want to stop that behavior. I want to decrease the talking out of turn. Ooh, look, we have a visitor. And wait, where is he? There he is. Charlie. Squirrel? Do you see a squirrel? I bet there's a squirrel outside. He's taunting you. Okay. What a good talk. All right. So, punishment. Punishment decreases the behavior. So let's say you guys are talking at a turn and I want you guys to stop the racket. It's annoying. And so what can I do? I can add something unpleasant. I can add something you're not going to like. I can add, okay, guys, I've asked you to be quiet enough. That's it. You guys have extra homework tonight. I am adding something unpleasant. This is positive because I'm adding something. Adding positive. I'm adding something unpleasant because I don't want you guys to talk often. So this is a punishment. If I add extra assignments, extra homework, I'm punishing you, and because I'm adding something unpleasant. Or I can take away something that you do like. I can take away privileges. Your parents probably do this one. They probably take away your phone or your car keys or privileges. And so they can take away something that you like. Okay, guys, you like stickers. I am no longer giving stickers for right answers because I am taking away something that you guys like. Take away something. All right. This one's also has a term. It's called omission training. I honestly haven't seen that too much on the AP exam, but I did hear that in like an AP session that I went to a few years back. They're like, oh, we say that as omission training. And that was literally the only time I ever heard that term, but I did add it just in case it was to pop up again. So 2 ways I can punish you. You guys broke your curfew. I'm really disappointed in you. You're going to have to rake the yard and clean up around the house. I'm adding chores. Or I can say, I'm taking away your phone, I'm taking away your car keys. They could do both. I am going to add chores and take away their privileges. That's just 2 types of punishment. You'll never guess which one works better, reinforcement or punishment. Reinforcement. It's a whole lot easier to reward good behavior. It changes people's behavior more when you reward good behavior than when you punish the bad behavior. So that's just some parenting lessons for you. Better to reward good behavior than to punish bad. You're going to get more results. Okay. I think we'll talk about that more tomorrow, but I think we were good with operant conditioning. So here is just a little chart for you, kind of sums up everything of increasing and decreasing behavior, adding, removing, positive reinforcement, positive punishment, negative reinforcement, and negative punishment. But then also don't forget your schedules of reinforcement. There's no such thing as schedules of punishment. I could, that would be awful. That would be torture. I am going to beat you every 5 minutes. Or I am going to take away your car keys every random amount of days. That's psychological torture. So there are schedules of reinforcement, but there's no schedules of punishment. I guess you could make them up, but I've never seen that before. So make sure that when you do the assignment, you can either type into it or you can write it in your notes, or you can download, I think it's an app or an extension through Google. It's called Doc Hub, and allows you to actually write on PDFs and highlight and make annotations onto PDFs and then save them. And then the PDF that you save has those annotations. You can do that as well. Don't forget to mark things as complete. You turn it in on Google Classroom, you mark it as done, and that way I know and you know that you are doing the work that you need to, and you're staying on top of things. So make sure you do that. And I will be going over that worksheet that I assigned today. I'll be going over that on Friday during our office hours, which is from 9 to 10 a.m. on YouTube. And I'm live. And I'm answering questions via Remind. So if you have questions, you can text me through Remind during then, and I will be answering them. And I'll also be going over the answers from that worksheet. So hopefully everyone has a good rest of the day. And I will see you live on Friday. And then we also have another short little lesson on Thursday that we'll be going over. But I think that's just a lecture video. I don't think there's any questions associated with that. But have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you then. Bye.